I have 5 tips for you on choosing which one of those point of views would work the best for your story. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. Today we're going to talk about point of view. I'm going to talk about the 2 most popular point of views and how to choose a point of view for your story. The first one we're going to talk about is first person. And in first person, you use pronouns like I and me and my. It's very close and personal. One of the benefits of using first person is that the reader is experiencing the story as if it's them actually in the story. First person often reads almost like a journal, and that makes it really intimate and personal. YA fiction uses a lot of first person, and an example of that would be Hunger Games. Hunger Games is written in first person, so it's a great example if you're wanting to read some first person writing to know how to do it. This is a great one. Another example is when we wrote our first fiction novel, we wrote this in first person. So you can get a copy of this and get some ideas for writing in first person. The second most popular form of point of view that's used is third person limited. There's also third person omniscient, which I'm going to talk about very briefly because third person omniscient, a good example of that would be Jane Austen. Now, if you haven't read a Jane Austen book, pick any of them and read them. It's just beautiful language. It's a great read for how do you do third person omniscient, which is not used as often anymore. The most commonly used is third person limited. With third person limited, the pronouns used are he, she, they, and them. It's a little bit more serious of writing rather than the first person. One example of using third person limited is our new series that's coming up, the Electrical Saga, The Uprising. We chose to write these in third person limited, so get your copy of this so that you can check out third person limited. I have 5 tips for you on choosing which one of those point of views would work the best for your story. So tip number 1 is choose the tone that you want to write your story in. So if you want to be more informal and more personal, you might want to choose first person. And if you want to choose a tone that's more serious, then you might want to choose third person limited. So you want to ask yourself, what tone do I want to set for the story that I'm writing? Tip number 2 is genre. What genre is your story in? And that may determine what point of view you write your story in. So do some research, figure out which genre, which point of view is popular, most popular in your genre, and that may determine which point of view you write your story in. Tip number 3 is choose which character you want your reader to experience the story through. So you're going to choose a character. It could be your main protagonist. It could be your great villain. It can even be a minor character, but whoever that is, you are going to tell the story through their eyes. Tip number 4 is no head hopping. So what head hopping is when you're going along, you're reading a story and you're in one character's perspective, one character's head, and the next sentence it jumps to another character's head. You don't want to do that. You choose the character that you want to tell the story through, and then you stay in that character's head. Whether that's first person or third person limited, you stay in that character's head for the scene or the chapter. You can tell a story through multiple characters' perspective, but you want to change that at either a scene, a very specific and clear scene change, or a new chapter. You want to make it very clear to the reader that you have just jumped heads. You don't do that in the middle of whatever it is happening in the story. When a writer changes perspectives within a scene or a chapter, what that does to the reader is it jerks them out of the reading experience. I mean, who doesn't want to get lost in a story? Well, when you're lost in a story and suddenly the writer switches perspectives, and you're like, wait, what just happened? You just pulled the reader right out of that experience, and you don't want to do that. Tip number 5 is, now that you've decided on your point of view, you've decided on your character, you know whose eyes you're telling the story through, everything within that scene or that chapter is told from that character's perspective, and you cannot tell things that that character does not experience or see in that scene. If you want to give information that that character does not actually experience themselves, then you need to switch scenes, start a new chapter or a new scene, and switch perspectives. Your reader will be immersed in the story, and they will enjoy the story more if they are not jolted out in and out from characters, from head hopping, or even saying things that the character themselves is not experiencing. When we read a book, we want to experience the story along with the character. So give your reader the experience with the character. If you like these videos, make sure you like and subscribe and click that bell notification so you don't miss any future videos, and I will catch you in the next video.